Hello everyone, this is Professor Hill. This is a short video for our class, Introduction to Ethics, Philosophy 2306 here at St. Philip's College. This is the online Summer 1 version of the course, so it's a condensed 5 weeks. And we're trying to do a lot in a short period of time. So, this is week 1. Today is Thursday, the 13th of June, 2019. So it's essentially day 4, week 1. Of our 5 weeks. So we're going to run through this pretty fast. But what we're trying to do this week is to get our books, Doing Ethics by Louis Vaughn, start reading through chapter 1, and then look ahead to our first discussion. Because what I want you to do is write a kind of a short essay answering the question, and then drop that into the discussion. After you've done that, go through, read a couple of your classmates, and comment on at least 2 of your classmates' essays. And so, we're going to try to get into a rhythm of read a chapter, do a discussion, read a chapter, do a discussion. And we're going to be doing this every Sunday and Wednesday night, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday. That's the cycle. Now, yesterday, Wednesday the 12th, I was starting to walk through some of the key concepts in chapter 1, because we want to make sure, especially as people are getting their books, I know some of them are still arriving, we want to talk a little bit about ethics, the philosophical study of morality, morality, our beliefs about good and bad, right and wrong, and then yesterday I talked about descriptive ethics, which is the scientific study of morality. This is the people in the white lab coats, remember the people that do the surveys, like the Pew Charitable Trust. And they looked at 40,000 people in 40 countries, asked them about certain moral and ethical behavior, and said, look, do you find this to be morally acceptable, morally unacceptable, or not a moral issue? And as you can see through the link on the Canvas page, there's some significant differences from country to country. And we got to talk about what that means. But in terms of the other definitions, the key terms from our chapter, Louis Vaughn breaks out 4 different types of ethics in this section in chapter 1 called the Elements of Ethics. And the next thing he talks about after descriptive ethics is normative ethics. And what he means by that is these are the moral standards or norms, essentially the thing that gets measured when you're doing descriptive ethics. These are the principles, the rules, the theories that guide our actions. And so again, whether we're talking about you as an individual or even as a group, as a society, again, the Pew Charitable Trust Survey was measuring countries as a whole. And it turns out that it doesn't mean that there is unanimous agreement. There might even be a significant minority that disagrees with the standard or norm for that group. But it is also fair to say that when you do descriptive ethics and you get a sense that, you can get information about a person or a group of people, whether that's, a city, a state, a country. And that information is helpful because with that we're trying to understand what these principles, rules, theories are, where they come from, and how are people applying them as they face difficult ethical issues. Like you're going to be doing in the case studies. So, it turns out, think of normative ethics as the kind of the what. What's being measured by descriptive ethics. Now, there's also sometimes a process where people step back and reflect on those norms. That type of self-reflection, or even as a society as a whole, we can do this. We can wrestle with these types of standards, norms, and should we change them? Should we keep them? Because they're an important part of our history and heritage. Should we change them in the light of lived experience? We realize now that we've been doing this wrong. We should change it. That type of process, the reflection on the meaning and logical structure, that's what meta-ethics is about. Meta just literally means above. So if you're stepping back, looking down, and reflecting on this, that process about the meaning and logical structure of our beliefs, that's meta-ethics. So the last thing that he mentions of the four, descriptive ethics, normative ethics, meta-ethics, the last one's applied ethics. And this has to do with kind of a small corner of ethics that applies to the licensed professions. This is the application of these norms to specific instances, and like, for example, law or medicine, a place where you're licensed by the state to do a certain type of activity, and there's a code of ethics that's been, over the years, codified as to what's the best practice. They're not laws, but they're similar laws, meaning that they only apply to you in the practice of that profession. And the profession kind of self-regulates, meaning that if you violate these standards of good practice, then you could be sanctioned or penalized. You could be suspended from the practice. You could ultimately have your license pulled by the state, by the ethics committee that oversees that area. And we're going to see that with an example for medical ethics and about a paramedic. So that's coming up. That's one of the case studies we're going to be looking at in terms of applied ethics. But for now, we wanted to run through all four of these kind of elements that he identifies and talk about descriptive ethics, normative ethics, meta-ethics, and finally applied ethics and the differences between those things. Again, this is all right out of Chapter 1 in our textbook, Doing Ethics by Lewis Vaughn. And he's got some other things to say about values and about the relationship between ethics and religion. I'll get more into that tomorrow, Friday the 14th. But today, if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully your books are coming in. You're looking ahead to those essays, and you're under control. But call me if you need some help. Take care. Bye-bye.